Good morning, everyone. My name is Oliver Francis here with the Exponent, here with Russell Hans of Russell Hans Photography. I'm going to talk a little bit about an incident that led to a mixed result that got him in the news for a good reason. Russ is a famous sports photographer in the local area. He takes pictures of a lot of University of North Dakota athletics, but he also does more than that. One of his favorite hashtags is not just a sports shooter, and this past week has kind of personified that a little bit. Russ, tell us what happened with there were some eagles that you helped rescue. You want to take us through just what happened, the great community support you had, and kind of where things stand with them right now.
Sure. Well, backing up just a little bit, one of my favorite things is to take pictures of the local eagles here in the communities. And last week I stopped at one of the nests that I check on regularly, and I noticed that the adult eagles were acting semi-aggressive and kind of just not normal. Normally when I pull up and park, they don't even come out of the trees. And this time I pulled up on the road and I parked, and they were out and flying around aggressively, and it just made me think something was off. So on Sunday, Father's Day, my wife and I were on our way back from Thief River Falls, and I said, let's stop and check, to see if they're around. And so we pulled in there, and as soon as I pulled up on the road at the same spot as I normally park, which is about maybe a block from the nest, I could see something on the edge of the grass just into the field. And it looked like a wild turkey, a dark coloring and something down there. And so I put the long lens on it, and I said, I'll be darned if that's not a young eagle. And so I walked a little closer and a little different angle, and I could see that there was two of them there. And so then that's when I realized why the parents were so concerned, is that the babies were on the ground. And I knew that they were just bait at that point for a coyote or a fox or something. So I got on the phone and started checking to see what we could do about it. So.
And talk about the numerous support you had from the greater Grand Forks community and kind of getting assistance to get them to St. Paul.
Sure. The first thing I did was I reached out because there's a raptor expert here in town, Tim Driscoll. I had no idea how to get a hold of him, so I threw a message out on social media asking how I could get a hold of him, and within just a few minutes I had a text with his phone number. I was able to call and talk to him. After I talked to the Raptor Center in St. Paul, and they had said, bring him down, I gave him back to social media, and I said, we need somebody to take these eagles to St. Paul tomorrow morning. And within just a matter of minutes, I had volunteers to take them down there. It was just amazing. I asked for, if anybody wanted to chip in on the gas money for our Les that took them down there, and people, threw some money in the pot to help with that. Even that night, I needed a box or something to put in there.
A large dog kennel.
Yeah. Well, it started out when I was out at the birds. I needed something to put them in to bring them back to town, and I called another photographer in town, and Michael Bogart, and I told him what was going on, and he grabbed a tote and brought that right out to me. And we're in the rain and getting these eagles picked up, and then we needed a dog kennel, and I put that on social media, and the police department at the university rushed one right over to me. So yeah, everybody just kind of jumped right in and helped out. It was amazing.
Awesome, yeah. Definitely the community response to this was it's a wonderful thing to see in the greater Grand Cities as a whole. Talk about when the Eagles got there, talk about what their condition is, good, bad, or otherwise.
Sure. Well, I could tell that one appeared to be a little bit more injured than the other just by the way it was laying versus the other one sitting up more. Other than that, I had no idea what their injuries were. They got to the Raptor Center and were evaluated, and apparently they determined that one of them was too injured to recover.
Right.
So they had to euthanize that one. And but apparently, from what I've heard, the other one is doing well. They're feeding it and just kind of nursing it back to health, and then I believe they're going to try to bring it back here. I haven't heard the final say on that, But when I did talk to them last, their intention was to bring the eagle back here to its parents.
That's absolutely awesome to hear, and obviously everyone in the community thanks you for your efforts in kind of coordinating and organizing all this. And that came out of your passion, of course, photography, and just being there and checking on them consistently. We all thank you for that. Moving on more to the photography side, talk about maybe a little bit how you got into photography, what you maybe expand on what you do now, and maybe just yeah, we'll start with that.
Sure. Well, I've been into photography since I was in high school. Learned how to use a darkroom and everything from way back. And I've always used photography. I've been a private investigator for 30 plus years, and back before the video cameras, that's what we did. It was a still camera and film, and we took pictures. Even as video developed, lots of times for accident scenes and evidence preservation, it was photography. And then more recently, in the last probably 5 or 6 years, I got more into a lot of different areas of photography, but mainly sports photography. Really took a passion with that, and that kind of built that into a business, and that's parlayed into other commercial work, and so a lot of everything now.
That's absolutely awesome to hear. What are some of your favorite moments as a photographer over the past few years that can be sport or non-sport?
Boy, there's so many, and it's hard to think back and try to think of specific ones. I know the national championship for UND and being on the ice and the celebration for that is right up there as one of the top moments. Probably shooting one of the first NHL game of my career.
Jets and Wild, right?
I think that might have been the first one. I'd have to check back to see, but it was just the experience of anytime it's a big event and it's the first time. Following the University of North Dakota when they made the big dance in NCAA basketball, and going down there and being there with 50, 60, 70 other photographers and coordinating where you're going to shoot and who has what spot, and yeah, just all of that is just fascinating. So in the sports world, those are probably some of the top moments. Outside of that, I've got so many different photographs that, I see them and I just go, oh yeah, that was an awesome, thing, whether it was my wife throwing the hot water in the 30 below temperatures at sunrise, and that was done right here in East Grand Forks, so just on the edge of East Grand Forks this winter, and a beautiful photograph. I have one from Medora with the wild horses up on a hill as the full moon was rising right behind them. There's just a lot of different ones that jump out.
Absolutely awesome to hear. What have been some of your favorite memories? They can be photography or just personal memories from here in East Grand Forks.
From here, you're really testing my my memories now, and I'm sure that there's something that I'm going to walk away later and go, oh, I forgot. But I mean, East Grand Forks has always been a great community. I don't even know if it's photography related, but just the people that come from East Grand Forks are always so nice. It's like a smaller community within this large community of Grand Forks, East Grand Forks. But you get over here, there's not as many stores. It's more of a small town feel. And the people are wonderful. I love coming over here and doing sports. I get over here and do a lot of the high school sports, and everybody's very grateful for it and friendly, and it's a great community.
Photography is definitely a wonderful field to be in. I'm sure you've seen more and more people enter the field since you got in. What's some advice you maybe give to either a young photographer looking to expand or scale up their business? And what's some advice you might give to someone considering photography? Like, how would you get started doing this if you had a small budget? Like, where you had to start everything over from the beginning, like kind of where would you go and how would you want to scale your business up?
Well, the biggest thing is practice. Get out there and practice. Don't be swayed by you have to have this equipment or that equipment. Use what you have. If you're on a low budget, then you look at some used equipment or whatever you need to get started, and get out there and learn how to use it. Practice and practice and practice, and experiment and find out what happens if I turn this dial, what does it do to my picture, what if I get lower on this picture, what does it look like? What if I got higher and took the same picture, what does it look like? And just experiment and practice and see what you like about, your pictures, and then work towards accomplishing that on a regular basis.
So 2 more questions kind of to wrap it up here. So I know you're a guy that you guys go out to a lot of different restaurants. What's your favorite restaurant in East Grand Forks? What's your favorite thing to order off the menu? You can only order one thing there the rest of your life at that restaurant. What would it be?
It's got this sounds bad, but it's probably the pizza burger at Sicky's. I do like the pizza burgers there, but yeah, we do eat out a lot, and we do frequent a lot of the East Grand Forks restaurants. So
That's awesome to hear, and definitely a good choice there. Going forward, next 5 years, what are some of your long-term, in a perfect world, goals for Russell Hans Photography and for Russell Hans?
well, I think long term or 5-year goals would be to continue growing as a business, doing what I'm doing now. Kind of a mixture of the sports photography along with the commercial and portrait photography, and just kind of maybe fill in a few gaps if there are in the schedule. But to continue doing that, that's my goal.
Awesome to hear, and actually, I'll add one more follow-up question. I've seen you advertising a lot of your services to shoot more youth sports, and you've definitely gotten into that more. If you, for a prospective parent that may want you to come shoot a game, they may see your initial price, tell them why you're a good choice to shoot, and even justify, because I know you're one of the best in town, so justify kind of what value you bring to any youth sports or smaller parent that may not have as much budget but still want that NHL quality
Sure.
photography.
And that's the thing, the equipment is going to get you some of that stuff that a parent can't get with their phone or their small camera that they're shooting from the stands. I have the equipment along with the knowledge and the skill of how to use that, so that I can bring them some images that they're normally not going to get with their phones and that type of thing. So it does cost a little bit more. I have overhead to cover to be able to provide those services. I try to keep the cost down as low as I can, and yet be able to keep the right equipment to be able to get those things for those parents.
Okay, perfect. Well, Russ, first off, thank you very much for all you've been able to do to help the Eagles as best you can, and for your photos of them are absolutely wonderful. Second off, thank you for being a very valued member of this community and for all the work you do, photographing things, be they on the ice, on the court, or anywhere else in these 2 wonderful towns, and thank you for all you do for East Grand Forks.
Thanks for having me in.
Yes, sir.